Hello, I'm Dilly MacFarlane, and this is the Alumni Special. Today my guest is Frances Cody, an alumna of Mount St. Vincent, who is the conference officer here at the Mount, and is also the president of a national group of conference officers. Hi, Frances.
Hi, Dilly.
Welcome to the Alumni Special.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming over today.
Well, I'm glad to be invited.
Fran, I wanted to ask you about a special program that I hear is available through the conference office here at the Mount and conference offices at other universities. And it involves an opportunity for alumni and students to take advantage of a really good deal when they're traveling. Can you tell me something about that program?
Sure. We developed the program. It's the Canadian University and College Conference Officers Association. And we developed the program last year. It ran through last summer, and this is our second year. It's called the Travel Canada Card. And you can purchase a card which will allow you to obtain overnight accommodation at universities across the country. It also entitles you to a 20% discount off their rack rates. The purpose of putting the program together from the point of view of the conference operations was basically to increase bed nights, simply because it's better to have 80% of a fee for a bed rather than have the bed sit empty. So we put the program together, and we have a directory available of which universities are participating, what their rack rates are, what kind of services. It explains all of the services that they have available to people on an overnight basis. And
oh, well, that's a wonderful advantage. I'm thinking, for instance, of people that have company coming to stay with them in Halifax, and we have a number of university campuses here, right within good traveling distance of the city or right in the city itself. Are all of the maritime universities participating in this program?
Not all universities are participating, simply because some do not take what we call transient business. They are involved in conferences and only conferences. Others have their rates set by the Board of Governors, and they don't have any flexibility in offering reduced rates. There are various reasons, but there are some institutions that just don't participate.
Who, for instance, in our area does not participate?
Actually, I think in Halifax itself, I believe all the universities are participating.
Well, that's good to know. I'm thinking that if someone had a number of family visitors coming or whatever, that they could be put up at very reasonable rates in the university residences. For instance, I don't know, most of our viewers are familiar with the Mount campus. Could you give us an idea of what kind of accommodations are available to transients here on the Mount campus and what the rate structure is?
I have approximately 300 beds available during the summer, which, believe it or not, is a relatively small operation compared to what most universities have. However, quality makes up for quantity in our instance. But we have Everestus Hall, which houses approximately 100 people, and that's, I would say, probably in about 50 double rooms and about 25 singles. CC Hall is a 12-story high-rise, which houses about 150 people, and that's just the opposite. It's mostly all singles with the occasional double room. We have 2 of the Birches available for our use in the summer. The Birches are townhouse residences, which are basically self-contained. They're situated around the pond, and it's just a beautiful setting. And there are 20 single rooms in each building. And we also have use of the building that the university has down on the Bedford Highway, 138 Bedford Highway. And that houses 9 people. That's a great area for like a family group or for faculty who come to visit in the summer, you know, maybe teaching courses and looking for a place to stay. So that's basically what we have available.
What are the rates for these accommodations? What's the single rate and the double rate for these accommodations?
A single rate for somebody traveling is $17 for a single room and $24 for a double room, which should probably really be called a twin room because it has 2 single beds in it. All of our beds are single. And our student rate is just slightly lower than that. We offer a single room for $12 a night and a double room for $20.
I see. And that is the rate that is also available to alumni?
Yes. Yes. Student and alumni rate are the same in my case. And in most universities across the country, the alumni are also given a break. And in most instances, they have the same rate as students.
Well, now, if someone were wanting to obtain the directory of other universities in Canada that are taking part in the travel card program, Can they get a directory from your office?
Absolutely.
And that's located in Rosaria Centre.
Right beside the information desk.
And what is your local here at the university?
351.
Local 351. So you may be getting some calls about
I
that.
hope so.
I'm thinking of young people that are taking off to explore the country. If they wanted to save money on their accommodation so that they could spend it elsewhere, it sounds like an ideal sort of arrangement.
One of the problems with the program last year was that the idea sort of was generated a little late, and all of the publicity and everything came about basically too late to grab the student population before they went off for the summer. We've already received most of our promotional material. I've already distributed to all of the students in residence. Posters and what have you have been put up all around campus, and I've written to like the Alumnae Folia and the Connection and the Picaro and those sorts of places, sending them news releases if they want to follow up on the story. And I have had good response to it. I've had at least a half a dozen inquiries about the program, and the directories will probably be available early next week. So I have a list of people. I've had more inquiries right now than I probably had for the entire summer last year, which is great. So I really expect, and that's just at the Mount. I mean, like, this has already been distributed to all of the universities that are participating, and to non-participating universities who are still members of our association, because they can still publicize the system for us, and students can pick it up elsewhere.
Oh, that's great, a wonderful advantage. Now, Frances, tell me about this organization. Who belongs to the, I forgot the name.
The Canadian University and College Conference Officers Association.
Right.
It's just called QCOA. I mean, that's easier to say than this horrendous name.
So in other words, most universities in Canada have someone like yourself, a counterpart to you, in the, as conference officer. And your organization, your national organization, draws all of these people together
Yes.
for various meetings. How often do you meet?
We meet as a whole once a year. We decided about 3 or 4 years ago that our association could probably grow best and develop its strength within the regions. So we did some restructuring, and there are a substantial number of meetings held regionally. When you have an area like the West, we have a Western region which goes from Manitoba to British Columbia, it's very difficult for them to get together very often. The Ontario region, on the other hand, is one province that probably has the bulk of our membership.
Yes.
And they meet several times in the run of a year, as does the Quebec region. The Atlantic region meets a couple of times a year. We usually hook one of our regional meetings into the national meeting, so that those that attend the national meeting will have an Atlantic regional meeting prior to it.
Frances, this may sound like a very simplistic question to you, but I'm sure that a lot of people, including myself, are anxious to know, what does a conference officer do? I mean, why are you here? Good question, huh?
Good question, Dilly. I've asked myself that a lot. I guess basically it has to do with the fact that you have these beautiful facilities that are sitting around, and to leave them empty, or basically empty, during the summer is a sin in one way. In another way, with the budgets the way they have been going, and the financial support coming from the government, it's necessary. The universities have been told to look within their own communities to develop other sources of income. And of course, one of the ones that has been developed is the conference operation, which is basically utilizing empty space in the summer to make income, particularly on the residences.
Who comes here in the summertime?
Oh, we have everyone coming here, from religious groups to school groups to business groups.
The elder hostel people.
The elder hostel people. I love the elder hostel people.
So everybody does.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah,
does.
absolutely delightful.
So really, from little tiny children right through to
Yeah.
senior citizens, and
That's it.
that's marvelous. And who's coming this year? Anything in particular happening this summer that we should know about? Or
The biggest one I have this summer is the International Christmas Tree Growers Association. Nova Scotia is hosting the international conference, so there will be a lot of people coming up from the New England states, and probably further, and from across Canada. So we may have a little bit of Christmas in August this year. At least I hope so. They've asked me if they can erect a Christmas tree, so
oh, that's wonderful.
it should be fun.
That's
It
going
should
to be
fun.
great.
Yeah.
Now, what do you do when someone comes to see you about a conference? If, for instance, if I were a member of an association or a group in the local community that wanted to make use of the facilities either throughout the school year or during the summer. How do I go about it? I come to see you, and then where do we start? How do we begin to plan our conference with you?
Well, basically we start at square one and take a look at the facilities and make sure that they match what it is that you need. And to be quite honest, our facilities are exceptionally well kept, and they're just beautiful facilities. So in a lot of instances, the facilities sell themselves. People just sort of walk into a building like Rosaria Centre and, oh, I love this, I love this. And Rosaria Centre has become the heart of the conference operation in the summer. That's where anytime I can sort of contain a group to one building, that's where I will contain them, because it's such an attractive site.
And convenient as well with the high-rise residence.
Two residences attached by tunnel and the dining hall in the same building.
Yes.
So that works
very
out really well.
convenient. I'm thinking that in my experience attending conferences across the country, it is a major pain to get up in the morning and brush your teeth and have to get on a school bus and rattle 15 miles into the city to get your breakfast with the conference package. That's really a good asset.
Yeah.
To have
No,
everything
it
so
has
close.
been, and our facilities appeal to different groups. You have to realize that we have a retreat type of atmosphere here. Groups that want their people away from downtown, want them away from the immediate temptation of running off in the evenings or skipping sessions, but still close enough to be able to hop the number 80 and be downtown in 15 minutes.
That's right.
So it works out really well that way.
And plus it's just a beautiful view.
Oh,
and you
yeah.
could get lost in the woods quite easily, but you're never too far from the main drag. That's really
Did a
wonderful
questionnaire
feature.
last year with the people who had actually coordinated the conferences with us, and I wish I had a nickel for every time I asked for our strengths, what they felt our greatest strengths were, and in so many instances the facilities and the campus itself, just the beauty of the campus, were listed as a strength. So when you've got that kind of facility to start with, you can't go anywhere but
And
up.
our rates are competitive with other
Oh yes,
similar
they have to be,
conference- yeah.
simply because with both Dalhousie and St. Mary's operating full scale in the city, and Technical University still has 75 beds themselves, so they're down there, they can't be forgotten.
No.
And so with that kind of competition sitting right on your doorstep, you really don't have any choice. You have to be competitive. If anything, we have to offer a little more advantage at some areas.
How accessible are our buildings to the disabled and the elderly?
All of our buildings are accessible.
So that's a good feature.
I shouldn't say that so quickly. Like the Birches are not accessible, but your main residences buildings, you can get into Everistus, you can get into a CC. Certainly Rosaria is very accessible, and so is Seton Academic Center, and those are the main areas that we use. Yeah.
I know you're also kept busy in the summer with the Mount Playhouse, Fran.
Oh yes, yeah,
And-
that's lots of fun.
Fran, for the information of our viewers, Frances was one of the original members of the Playhouse organizing team and is still the administrator for the Playhouse. Can you give us a little sneak preview of what's coming up for the Playhouse?
Well, the Playhouse is alive and kicking. We're looking at, we're in the process of, we're still in the planning stages of it, and we're looking at perhaps revising our format a little bit for next year. We've been in operation for 5 years, and just sort of feel it might be nice for a little breath of fresh air. Our format is very popular. I mean, people really enjoy it, so we want to change without changing.
Yes.
You know, we want to try and do as much to maintain what we have, but give people a little taste of something different. I think it's going to be a great season, but then I'm biased.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. I've got a little bias there myself.
Yeah.
But I have no doubt that it's going to be another wonderful season. July 1st rolls around pretty fast,
It
doesn't
sure
it?
does.
We're still looking at the same time frame, 1st of July to the middle of August, with the box office opening around the 24th of May.
That's about it.
That's great. So for all you Playhouse patrons, perk up and pay attention, because the Playhouse is on again for 87.
That's right.
That's good news. Fran, look, I thank you very much for coming in today to tell us about the your work with the National Association of, I'm sorry.
Canadian University and College Conference Officers
Fine.
Association.
Thank you very much in your
No
work with the
problem.
Playhouse. And I hope that you'll have a good season this summer. And I'm going to look into that travel card program,
Please
because I
do.
think I'm one person that could certainly take advantage of it. Thanks again, Fran.
Thank you, Dilly.
And thank you for joining me today. And I hope that you'll come back again next week for more of the Alumni Special.